The devastation of Uncle Tu's sugarcane field. Uncle Tu's vast sugarcane field lay in ruins, as if a violent storm had struck overnight. But the true destroyers weren't the forces of nature. They were a ruthless herd of wild boars that ravaged the crops, wiping out an entire year of hard work. The villagers were distraught and overwhelmed. Responding to their desperate plea, we made the decision to act. Would peace return to the village after tonight? Stay with us and witness the hunt unfold. After careful discussions and planning, we prepared ourselves. Camouflage uniforms were put on, boots tightened, firearms checked, and radio systems tested. Most crucial of all was the thermal scope paired with a built-in rangefinder, perfectly calibrated and ready. Outside, the pickup truck rumbled to life, waiting only for the signal to move. Nighttime hunt at the pasture. The night swallowed everything in silence as we made our way to the pasture, a place wild boars often invaded after devastating nearby farmland. I chose a small dirt mound, the highest ground overlooking the open field. From here, every movement could be monitored and controlled. Through the thermal scope, the world turned into a stark palette of black and white. And then, they appeared, wild boars emerging from the darkness, unaware they had walked straight into our trap. I didn't rush. Our golden rule was clear: take down the lead boar first. Without their leader, panic would spread, their formation would break, and their will would crumble. I steadied my breath, aligned the crosshairs on the leader, and squeezed the trigger. The loud crack echoed across the field, the target dropped instantly. Chaos erupted. The rest scattered in confusion. I immediately radioed John, reporting their escape route. From his direction, sharp bursts of gunfire answered, each shot another enemy neutralized. Intercepting another group. Just as silence returned, the radio crackled again. Another group of boars had been spotted near the forest's edge. We moved swiftly, like ghosts in the darkness. Through my scope, I locked onto a large boar and fired. It collapsed, and panic spread among the herd. They bolted in all directions, but we were ready. I tracked their movements and fired again, dropping one after another. Gunshots rang from my team's positions, each report signaling another invading beast brought down. Continued pursuit. But the hunt was far from over. Minutes later, another group of wild boars entered my sight line. Without hesitation, I locked onto one and fired. The others scattered yet again, but I quickly followed, firing in rhythm with my teammates. One by one, the destructive animals fell. Every precise shot echoed like a drumbeat of war, reclaiming the land from these relentless invaders. Nighttime challenges. The night grew darker and colder, but our focus never wavered. Peering through the thermal scope, I spotted more moving figures creeping along the field. I took careful aim, calculated the distance, and fired. The boar collapsed where it stood. The others tried to flee, but they didn't make it far. My teammates' gunfire ensured they, too, were stopped in their tracks. Targeting a lone boar. Suddenly, a massive boar broke away from the groups, alone, heading toward the forest's edge. This was a rare chance. I activated the rangefinder. The distance appeared clearly in the scope. I adjusted my aim, waited for the perfect moment, and fired. The bullet struck cleanly. The beast dropped instantly. Almost at the same time, gunfire erupted from my teammates' positions, taking down the remaining threats one by one. Taking down the final leader. At last, only one remained, a large boar that seemed to be one of the surviving leaders. It frantically searched for an escape but couldn't find one. I steadied my rifle, locked onto it, and waited for it to pause. The moment it hesitated, I fired. The shot was decisive, its rampage ended. Around me, my teammates continued firing, ensuring no survivors remained. One by one, the invaders fell, and the night finally grew silent. Peace had been restored, at least for now. Wild boar damage in the US. Across vast agricultural regions of the United States, especially in states like Texas and Florida, wild boars are causing unimaginable destruction. These invasive creatures inflict billions of dollars in losses every year. With rapid reproduction, strong herding instincts, and unmatched resilience, they tear apart crops, uproot soil, contaminate water supplies, and even attack livestock. The land that feeds millions is under siege. Music. Dawn mission in Texas. Today, at the first light of dawn, our team began its mission. Pickup trucks rumbled forward, loaded with experienced hunters and advanced tracking gear. Our objective was clear: to reach the most heavily affected areas and stop the destruction before the new growing season begins. Music. The cold Texas winter morning cut through every layer of clothing. As we arrived at the first hot spot, frost clung to the ground, and silence covered the fields like a blanket. In conditions like these, every sense must be sharpened. A faint trail in the snow could lead to a target, and the slightest movement might be the enemy we are searching for. Music. Morning hunt. The morning mist turned the snow-covered forest into a silent battlefield. When the first wild boar emerged from the tree line, time seemed to stand still. I steadied my hands, pulled the trigger, and the bullet struck with the force of thunder. The beast collapsed instantly, and for a moment, peace returned to this land. A strong start to what promised to be a long day. John's encounter. While I secured the first success, my teammate John faced a different challenge. He was posted near the forest edge, where silence pressed heavily around him. Only the cold rifle in his hands kept him grounded. Suddenly, a wild boar burst out from the distant brush, charging straight toward him like a roaring storm. John focused every ounce of fear into a single, steady shot. Boom! The boar fell just a few steps away from him. He finally exhaled, relieved to still be standing. Balance had been restored, if only briefly. David's pursuit. Music. Determined to protect the fields, David endured the bitter cold as he followed the deep tracks of a massive boar along the icy hillside. Suddenly, the creature's head appeared from behind the bushes. Their eyes met. Panic flashed in its eyes as it tried to flee, but it was already too late. One precise gunshot echoed across the slopes, ending the threat in an instant. Another harvest saved. Dense forest challenges. We pushed deeper into the dense forest. Here, everything changed. Visibility was nearly zero. Tree trunks blocked every angle, shadows danced unpredictably, and every bush could conceal danger. We moved cautiously, stepping around roots and branches, our senses stretched to their limits. Through the scope, I spotted a massive boar entering our guarded zone. Smart and cautious, it paused behind a thick trunk, listening intently. I drew a slow breath. This was a one-shot chance, now or never. I squeezed the trigger. The bullet struck the vital point, and the beast dropped instantly. Another mission completed. A brass shell flew from the rifle, glinting in the cold air. Order was restored once again. Tell me, was that shot worthy of a masterpiece? Protecting residential zones. Our duty didn't end with the fields. We also had to stop lone boars before they reached residential areas. Thomas maneuvered through rows of dry trees, alert and focused. Then he saw it, a solitary boar creeping toward the village. He raised his rifle, locked onto the target, and waited for the perfect moment. Bang! The shot echoed across the wilderness. The threat was eliminated far from any home. One bullet, one life saved, one community protected. Final prize of the day. Evening settled in, and the freezing air pressed deeper into our bones after a long day of pursuit. As we prepared to head back, I suddenly stopped. There, on the open trail, stood a large boar, head down, completely unaware of our presence. The perfect final prize of the day. I aimed, fired, and the forest echoed with one final shot. The beast fell. the hunt ended just as we had hoped, with success, safety, and peace reclaimed for the land. Return and community impact. The sun had fully dipped below the horizon as we made our way back in the silent hum of the Tesla electric truck, wrapping up a long but meaningful day of battle. From the bone-chilling shots at dawn to the tense standoffs deep in the forest by afternoon, every moment carried one purpose: to protect the peace of the village. We owe this victory to the unwavering teamwork between hunters, local authorities, and farmers who stood shoulder to shoulder with us when it mattered most. These wild boars are not only threats neutralized, but also a source of valuable sustenance. Some of the harvest will be carefully processed, cooked, and shared with the very community that placed their trust in us. The rest will be transported to certified processing plants to supply clean, high-quality meat to the market. Today's journey ends here, but the battle to defend the land and its people continues. Thank you for watching. Stay with us, and we'll meet again on the next hunt. Louisiana Hunt. Today, we arrive in Louisiana, one of the southern states locked in a silent yet relentless battle. Wild boars, ferocious, destructive, and fearless. They ravage fields, collapse riverbanks, and even bolt across highways, causing dangerous accidents. Here, hunting is no longer a pastime. It is a mission, supported by authorities, embraced by locals, to protect lives and restore peace. So gear up, and join us in today's hunt. The cold pierces straight through our jackets, but it is nothing compared to the responsibility we carry. We jump into our vehicles, navigating rugged rocky slopes and muddied trails before spreading out, staking the best positions for a successful ambush. First victory in Louisiana. The icy mountain winds cut through us, yet the fear for the crops weighs even heavier. We take our positions, load our gear, eyes fixed ahead. Then it appears, the intruder responsible for countless ruined fields. It hesitates behind the bushes for just a second. That second is all we need. A sharp, clean gunshot echoes through the valley. Target down. The first victory of the day, earned with precision and calm resolve. John's reflexes. Fueled by adrenaline, we move deeper into the dense forest. Out of nowhere, a full herd of wild boars bursts past John as if the land belongs only to them. But John doesn't flinch. A seasoned hunter's reflexes kick in. In one swift motion, he raises his rifle and fires. The crack of the shot slices through the trees. The threat collapses before it reaches the crops. Tell me, does John's reaction deserve a perfect score? Thomas is shot. At midday, the sun hangs high when a wild boar emerges from the forest, stepping unknowingly into the clearing. The moment it realizes danger, it tries to retreat, but its fate has already been written. Thomas breathes out, gently squeezes the trigger, and delivers both a greeting and a farewell in one flawless shot. Today's rifle report will echo as laughter in future harvest seasons. Nighttime advantage with thermal scopes. When night falls, the real war begins. This is when wild boars roam freely. To human eyes, the world turns pitch black. But with thermal scopes and scouting drones, the darkness becomes our advantage, not a weakness. Through the thermal lens, the world becomes shades of ghostly white and black. My blood boils as I watch a dark boar tearing up the land, the sweat and sacrifice of countless farmers. This cannot go unanswered. Cold determination guides my finger as I pull the trigger. The bullet slices the night. The destroyer falls, and peace rises once more. Finn's encounter. Across the meadow, Finn stumbles upon a strange sight. A lone boar stands motionless, as if deep in thought, unaware of the world around it. The moment its eyes meet his, reality snaps back. It tries to escape. Too late. A single bullet closes the chapter of its life. In the open field, one careless moment can be a one-way road to the end. Final shot of the day. Night thickens. We are about to close a victorious day when suddenly, a dark figure moves at the forest's edge, digging stubbornly into the soil. I bring it into my sights and offer it a final gift, the last copper bullet of the hunt. It accepts without protest, falling silently into the earth. And just like that, the final threat disappears. A perfect day of hunting deserves nothing less than a clean, decisive shot. Returned with trophies. As the Cannon Defender UTV rumbled back along the dirt path, its cargo bed was overflowing with the day's hard-earned trophies. From the first light of dawn to the quiet hours of the night, every shot, every step, every heartbeat had led to this moment of victory. Not a single piece of wild boar meat would go to waste. Part of it would be sent to local processing plants, ensuring clean and trustworthy meat for the community. The rest would be cooked over open flames in a well-deserved barbecue, shared with the farmers who work day and night to defend their crops and their homes. Tonight, this feast wouldn't just be about celebration, it would be a tribute to their resilience. Restoring peace. But the greatest reward isn't the game we bring back. It's the peace we leave behind. It's the sugarcane fields and rice paddies standing untouched, safe until harvest. It's the farmers who can finally rest without fear of what lurks in the dark. None of this would be possible without the unity of our team, the support of local authorities, and the unwavering trust of the people who stood beside us throughout this mission. Thank you for being with us. Stay tuned, more hunts, more challenges, and more stories await on this journey to protect the land we all call home. Tracking the alpha boar. The fields before us were torn apart, soil overturned, crops destroyed, like a storm had ripped through the land. From that moment, we knew we weren't dealing with an ordinary nuisance. Villagers whispered about a colossal boar leading the destruction, a massive beast, ruthless and cunning, weighing hundreds of kilos. Without hesitation, we made our decision. We would track it down and restore peace to these lands. Yet, a question lingered in every mind: would our skill, discipline, and trust in one another be enough to face a creature like this? At the first light of dawn, after a brief but focused strategy meeting, we moved out. Each hunter took position, guarding every trail, every hidden path the boars might use to escape. The hunt had officially begun. No matter how clever they seem, wild boars are creatures of habit. They returned to the same trails, the same feeding grounds. We waited in silence, breath controlled, eyes fixed. Then, the moment arrived. The beast stepped out from the brush. Instinct took over. I gently pulled the trigger. One shot, sharp and clean. The boar dropped instantly, never making it to the tree line. In that moment, I was reminded, victory in the wild doesn't belong to brute strength, but to a mind that understands the rhythm of nature. Tracking the alpha boar. The fields before us were torn apart, soil overturned, crops destroyed, like a storm had ripped through the land. From that moment, we knew we weren't dealing with an ordinary nuisance. Villagers whispered about a colossal boar leading the destruction, a massive beast, ruthless and cunning, weighing hundreds of kilos. Without hesitation, we made our decision. We would track it down and restore peace to these lands. Yet, a question lingered in every mind: would our skill, discipline, and trust in one another be enough to face a creature like this? At the first light of dawn, after a brief but focused strategy meeting, we moved out. Each hunter took position, guarding every trail, every hidden path the boars might use to escape. The hunt had officially begun. No matter how clever they seem, wild boars are creatures of habit. They returned to the same trails, the same feeding grounds. We waited in silence, breath controlled, eyes fixed. Then, the moment arrived. The beast stepped out from the brush. Instinct took over. I gently pulled the trigger. One shot, sharp and clean. The boar dropped instantly, never making it to the tree line. In that moment, I was reminded, victory in the wild doesn't belong to brute strength, but to a mind that understands the rhythm of nature. Early morning hunt. At sunrise, We said a temporary goodbye to my grandparents and set off toward the forest, our breath rising in white clouds against the frigid morning air. Snow blanketed the ground like a sheet of ice, crunching beneath every step. The cold was unforgiving, the wind sharp against our faces, but our purpose, to protect the village, kept our spirits burning. From the crest of a hill, I spotted the first target of the day. A lone wild boar trudged heavily through the thick snow, unaware it had been seen. I steadied my rifle, breathed in slowly, and pulled the trigger. Boom! The echo rolled across the frozen hills as the animal dropped motionless into the snow. A clean start. The icy weather didn't slow us, it fueled our determination for the long hunt ahead. White heavy checkmark tracking the herd. We followed their tracks silently, footprints pressed deep into the snow, leading us toward the edge of the forest. The air was still, tense. From a small hill, I took aim at the largest boar leading the herd. One shot broke through the silence, crisp, sharp. The bullet found its mark. Chaos erupted instantly. The herd scattered in panic, squealing as they bolted in every direction. One fell, struggling against the snow. Jack sprinted forward and finished it swiftly, ensuring it caused no further harm. Another threat neutralized. Heat. Heat. Unpredictable weather. This time of year, the weather changes like a heartbeat. By morning, the snow softens under a shy sun, but as afternoon comes, the sky darkens and the air turns harsh and bitter once more. Still, it didn't slow us down. Our hunt pressed on. As expected, another boar appeared just ahead, half buried in the snow, digging for roots beneath the frozen earth. I steadied my stance and watched its every move. When the timing was right, I raised my rifle. One slow breath. Boom! The shot rang out and the boar collapsed instantly. A clear message to any beast thinking of threatening our land. White heavy checkmark Jack's hunting dogs. Not far away, Jack's loyal hunting dogs picked up another scent. Their barks echoed through the frozen woods as they surrounded a hidden boar, blocking every escape route. At Jack's signal, our team moved quickly to support. I spotted the boar crouched behind dry branches, its breath visible in the cold air. I waited, patient, focused. When it stepped into clear view, bang, a single precise shot, and it fell into the snow. Another clean trophy to bring home. Another victory for my grandparents' farm. Challenges in the snow. Snow began to fall harder, making the forest floor slippery and difficult to navigate. So, we moved toward the road along the edge of the woods where the snow was thinner but the danger no less real. Footsteps crunched lightly beneath us as I listened carefully. Then, I heard it. The faint rhythm of hooves breaking through snow. A dark shape emerged, crossing the narrow road. I quickly loaded a round, raised my rifle, and fired. The first shot missed its mark, but I didn't hesitate. Boom! The second shot landed true. The boar collapsed onto the frozen ground. With that, we knew the day's hunt had come to an end. White heavy checkmark Jack's final shot. At the same moment, on the other side of the clearing, Jack had found his own target. A wild boar wandered slowly through the snow, snout buried in the ice searching for scraps, unaware of its fate. Jack crept forward silently, each step careful, every breath controlled. When he reached the perfect angle, he lifted his rifle, paused, and waited for the right heartbeat. Boom! The shot flew clean and fast, dropping the boar instantly. It looked effortless, but only a seasoned hunter understands the precision, patience, and calm it requires. One wrong move, and the beast would escape, or worse, attack. Returning to grandparents. The sky continued to darken, and the snow now fell in thick, silent sheets. With visibility worsening, we had no choice but to leave the forest and make our way home. I knew my grandparents were waiting anxiously, and I didn't want them to worry any longer. The boars we had taken down were enough for today, a worthy result of our efforts. Even though we had planned to rest for a while, the feeling of accomplishment kept us warm despite the cold. We had once again protected the village, and that brought a quiet pride to our hearts. Still, I decided to stay a few more days. The danger had not passed yet. Wild boars were still roaming the outskirts, and the safety of our home was not fully secured. The hunt was far from over. At any moment, we might be called to head back into the snowy forests. So, stay with us, as the next days will reveal how we continue to shield our land and stop the destruction caused by these relentless wild beasts.